Next up, it's 3 versus 6. It's RSL with the home field advantage against Minnesota. Pablo Mastroeni's side, after spending a good bit of the year in first place in the West, will get two home games against Eric Ramsey's Minnesota side that's found some really good attacking form as of late. Minnesota, the enemies of the pod, will be out in the first game. They're going to be beaten so badly, they won't even be a point to play the second game. They're just going to concede and give up and go home. I'm just kidding. This one's actually a really interesting matchup because Minnesota are pretty bang average with success at home and on the road. I think they actually won one more game away from home than they have at home, which is pretty crazy. RSL are fantastic at home and they're okay on the road, but they've got tons of firepower up top. RSL 6 straight games without a loss, 4 wins in their last 8. Minnesota even better form, 7 wins in their last 10 to make a charge up the table and get into this sixth spot. Minnesota also super solid defensively with 4 straight clean sheets before conceding to Marcel Hartel and St. Louis on decision day. They've only given up multiple goals once in the last 10 games. Meanwhile, RSL have had some less than impressive results. They scraped by San Jose in one game. They had a huge loss to Houston. They drew Austin, then they lost San Jose the first time they played. They're not flying by any sense of the words, but they do have a lot of talent and they are an exciting group. The difference between the two, in Minnesota, they attack by committee with Bongi Halangwane, Oluwase, new signing Kelvin Yeboah leading the line. Robin Lod contributes as well. In RSL, it's Chicho Aranjo. They've got 17 goals. The next closest player is no longer on the team, and Andres Gomez. Anderson Julio has double digits. Luna's added 8, and then it just falls straight off. If you can handle that group of 3, you're going to be in good shape. So my prediction, and I hate that I have to do this. I hate it, but I've got Minnesota being the 6/3 upset here. RSL feels like a team that gives up really bad results against teams that they shouldn't in recent month or two. And I think that they're going to fall short in this first round. It doesn't feel like they are as good as that third spot says. And that's tough because I was big on RSL at the midway point, but they've had, like, as we went through before, San Jose was the worst defensive team in the league. You got shut out by them and you only scored one on them. And that's with that attacking talent we talked about. You draw Austin, who is out of the playoffs. You get killed by to put it not so frankly, a pretty average Houston side, right? Like the results that you have were not as strong as they should have been. If you look at Minnesota, though, they're in great form. They're defensively solid, and they have a ton of different people who can tuck the ball away. Kelvin Yeboah is the game changer for me. 7 goals in 8 appearances, not even 700 minutes yet. This dude's having a Timu Pukki-like half season, and they're benefiting from it really, really well. A few weeks ago, these two sides drew, and in their first meeting early in the season, they also drew. If that happens here, it's a PK shootout to decide the winner. I trust our boy Dwayne, the main man, Dane St. Clair, over either McMath or Beavers. I've never been sold on either of those two. McMath less so. I think he's on a decline. Beavers is on a better path, but still doesn't have everything for me. And then Dane St. Clair, of course, a very, very solid shot stopper, strong in penalties, and I think he's the advantage there. So I've got Minnesota moving on here over RSL, and you're never, very rarely, you're going to have a perfect 1, 2, 3, 4 on both sides of the bracket moving on. Somebody's going to have to fall short, and I think RSL is going to be one of those teams.